All right, so you guys wanted to know about Aries and Capricorn compatibility. Buckle up, because this one's a doozy. We're talking fire signs and earth signs, a combo that's notorious for, well, clashing.
Oh yeah, this should be good. Fire and earth, not exactly a recipe for harmony, is it?
Not exactly. And the article we're looking at today doesn't hold back. Like, right away, it reminds us that Aries and Capricorn are ruled by what astrologers call karmic enemies, Mars and Saturn. Not exactly the kind of cosmic connection you'd write a love song about, right?
Definitely more of a cautionary tale vibe, huh? But it makes sense when you think about those planetary influences. You've got Mars, all about action and desire, ruling Aries. And then there's Saturn, the planet of discipline and structure, holding sway over Capricorn. Talk about two very different approaches to, well, pretty much everything.
Right. It's like one's always ready to hit the gas, and the other one's checking the map, planning the route, and packing snacks like 3 weeks in advance.
Exactly. And imagine those two trying to, plan a date, let alone navigate an actual relationship.
Oh, man, don't even get me started on the potential for date night disasters. But before we spiral down that rabbit hole, the article actually sums up this whole dynamic with a phrase I thought was perfect. Insanely attracted, but differences keep them at a safe distance. Have you seen that play out with Aries and Capricorn couples?
More times than I care to count. But with these two, it makes sense, that initial spark, electric,
Yeah.
because they represent those qualities that the other one might secretly crave, right?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Aries is drawn to Capricorn's confidence, that whole I got this energy. And Capricorn, well, they're intrigued by Aries' impulsiveness, their ability to just go for it.
So there's major chemistry, but then boom, the inevitable wall goes up. Why is that always the case?
It's classic, too close for comfort, you know? They get a little closer and realize, oh, those fundamental differences, those are more than just cute quirks.
Yeah, they can be deal breakers.
Exactly. Aries might start to see Capricorn as too controlling, too set in their ways, and Capricorn might see Aries as flighty, unpredictable.
A recipe for some serious push and pull.
Exactly. And that's where things can get really interesting or, messy.
Totally. It's that push and pull dynamic that either explodes in their faces or, I don't know, somehow brings them closer. But there was one part of the article I wasn't expecting at all. The trust thing. Apparently, even with all this other stuff going on, Aries and Capricorn can actually be really good at trusting each other.
It's kind of surprising when you consider how different they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, the article dives into this idea that it's not necessarily this deep emotional connection that builds that trust. It's more about their shared intensity, that all or nothing approach they both have. They get each other's extremes, even when those extremes are, totally opposite.
Right. It's like they recognize that commitment to their own nature in each other, and there's a weird kind of respect that comes with that.
Exactly. But it does make you wonder, can a relationship built on shared intensity, but not necessarily shared values or approaches, can it really go the distance?
Yeah, that's a really good question. What happens when those all or nothing personalities inevitably bump heads, which, let's face it, is bound to happen?
Right. And that's where the article gets into some really interesting territory, especially when it talks about, well, communication, or should we
Yeah.
say potential for miscommunication.
Yeah, I was going to say, with all those contrasting energies flying around, communication's going to be a bit of a minefield, right?
You could say that. Remember those planetary influences we were talking about? Mars and Saturn? They play a huge role here.
Okay, so break it down for us. How do those planets turn into, communication chaos?
Well, on one hand, you've got Aries, ruled by Mars, who's all about that direct, sometimes impulsive communication style. They say what they mean, and they mean it now.
No filter.
Exactly. And then on the other hand, you've got Capricorn, influenced by Saturn, who's much more calculated, more measured in their communication. Think logic, reason, carefully choosing their words.
Oh, man, it's like they're speaking two completely different languages.
Totally. The article even gives this great example. It talks about how Capricorn can find Aries' impulsivity, well, a little frustrating.
To put it mildly.
Right. Sometimes even a little childish. And Aries, on the other hand, might see Capricorn as being, way too serious, too stuck in their routine.
Ouch, I can see the eye rolls already. But it sounds like those differences, they run deeper than just surface level annoyances, right? It's like fundamental differences in how they see and interact with the world.
Absolutely. And it creates this cycle where Aries feels stifled, like their spontaneous nature is being, I don't know, criticized or misunderstood.
Yeah.
And Capricorn feels constantly challenged, like they're trying to impose some order on like a chaotic storm.
So not exactly a recipe for smooth sailing. Is there any hope for these two? Can they find a way to like bridge this communication gap?
Well, the article threw me for a loop here, actually. It suggests that, believe it or not, physical activity could be the key.
Wait, really? Physical activity? As in like hitting the gym together. Help me understand this one.
Okay, so think about it this way. Physical activity, it provides this common ground where their seemingly opposite energies can actually work together in a positive way.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this.
For Aries, with all that like natural athleticism and Martian drive, physical activity is an outlet. They can move, they can compete, they can burn off some of that restless energy in a healthy way. And for Capricorn, well, this is where their discipline and determination shines. They can approach physical activity strategically with focus and a plan.
So it's not just about like sweating it out together. It's about finding that shared space where they can both feel in their element and maybe even appreciate each other's strengths in a new way.
Exactly. Aries might start to see Capricorn's quiet strength and endurance and be like, wow, okay, I see you. And Capricorn might tap into some of Aries's playfulness and enthusiasm and remember that, hey, life doesn't always have to be so serious.
Right. It's like they each have something to learn from the other, especially in those moments where their differences could easily lead to conflict. So we've talked about the challenges, the sparks, the communication breakdowns, and now even a potential path toward, I don't know, harmony through shared activity. But at the end of the day, can this pairing really work long term? What does it all boil down to?
You hit the nail on the head. The article's pretty clear on this one. It all comes down to respect.
Hmm.
And not just like
Yeah.
surface level tolerance.
Yeah.
We're talking deep, genuine respect for who the other person is, especially when it clashes with your own way of being.
Which, honestly, that's easier said than done in any relationship, right? Let alone one where you've got Aries and Capricorn, who are basically coming from opposite ends of the spectrum.
Oh, absolutely. It takes conscious effort,
Yeah.
to look beyond those moments where you're just like, "Oof, why are you like this?
Yeah.
And see the value, the strength in those differences.
It's about accepting, even celebrating those core parts of your partner instead of trying to, like, mold them into someone else.
Exactly. And it's not just about accepting, but like actually learning and growing from those differences. Imagine like what happens when Aries embraces a little bit of Capricorn's grounded strategic energy.
Right. Or when Capricorn loosens up and taps into some of that Aries boldness.
The possibilities are endless.
Okay, so instead of being relationship deal breakers, those differences actually become opportunities for like serious growth, both individually and as a couple. I like that.
Right. It's like that tension, those seemingly opposing forces, that's where the good stuff is. That's where you find depth, excitement, a connection that's anything but boring.
Okay, see, now you've got me thinking. If Aries and Capricorn can find that sweet spot, that balance of respect and like embracing the chaos, could this be one of those crazy, passionate, can't live with them, can't live without them relationships?
Oh, 100%. It's like those classic pairings, light and shadow, yin and yang. There's a reason those dynamics are so compelling. They can go either way, explosive conflict or incredible beauty.
It's the ultimate roller coaster, right? Maybe a little terrifying at times, but never ever dull.
Exactly. And that's what we have to remember with Aries and Capricorn. It's all about shifting the perspective.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing those differences as obstacles, what if we embrace them as opportunities for growth, for excitement, for a love that keeps you on your toes?
Okay, I have to admit, I started this deep dive thinking Aries and Capricorn were, like, headed for disaster. But now I'm kind of seeing the potential here. Yeah, there are going to be challenges, but underneath it all, there's this possibility for intense passion, for incredible personal growth, for a bond that's built on mutual respect and like a healthy dose of embracing the chaos.
And isn't that what makes relationships so fascinating? That dance between our differences and our deep desire to connect.
Absolutely. So to our listener who requested this deep dive on Aries and Capricorn compatibility, we hope this has given you something to think about. Whether you're an Aries, a Capricorn, or just, trying to make sense of the relationships in your own life, we want to hear from you.
What resonated? What surprised you? Remember, astrology is just one lens, one way of looking at ourselves and our connections. The most important thing is to approach all your relationships with curiosity, compassion, and that willingness to learn and grow together.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those cosmic connections. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.